Welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Andrea Jackson. The U.S. housing market is in flux right now, but not everyone is feeling the pain. Joining us to talk about the latest real estate trends is Insider's guru for all things real estate. Please welcome James Rodriguez. Hey, James.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So how are many U.S. homeowners who are downsizing seeing a benefit from the current market?
Well, you think about the winners and losers over the past few years. Really, the winners are those who bought homes either before the pandemic or early on when home prices hadn't risen significantly yet. Mortgage rates were very low at one point in 2021, so they were maybe able to refinance or get a low mortgage rate in the 2% or 3% range. Now you look at mortgage rates; they're at 7.3% for the weekly average this week, which is a 23-year high. You look at home prices that have risen more than 50% over the past 3 years. So, really, if you're downsizing, you have owned a home for a little bit, you have a significant amount of equity, maybe you've completely paid off your mortgage. So then, you're in a great position to now compete in a market where it pays to have all cash to be able to beat out other offers. And, you've built up all this wealth over the past few years.
James, it always seems like with most anything, timing is everything. Are there concerns about a real estate bubble forming again, especially in certain parts of the U.S.?
I think what we've definitely seen is that certain markets have gotten a little overheated, and we're seeing a little bit of a kind of return to normal in some areas where, especially in the West, where, I think you're seeing home prices continuing to rise in the East, falling in some areas a little bit in the West, but I don't think there's concern, at least from the economists that I've spoken to yet, of kind of the same bubble crash that we saw in 2007, 2008. I think, lending standards have tightened significantly since then. I think we are seeing not the same oversupply that we saw at that point. So for those reasons, I think a crash to the same effect isn't really in the cards right now.
You mentioned rising home prices and, of course, the sky-high interest rates. How could we see this impact the economy in different ways?
I think we're looking at inflation, especially. I think that's really what the Fed is paying attention to right now. And as you look at, what home buyers are able to afford, I think they're being increasingly, concerned about inflation. And so I think, all these ripple effects, especially with, not so much on the home buying side, but with rents. We've seen this huge increase in apartment construction over the past few years, and that should actually bring down, rent prices and, therefore inflation. And that can also make it easier, maybe for some people to actually afford their first home and move from renting into home buying. So I think, inflation is really kind of the main thing that a lot of people are concerned about right now.
Are there markets, James, where experts warn of overbuilding or a glut of available properties?
I think Phoenix is one where we saw a ton of building over the past few years. I think there was so much interest as well in moving there. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of people moving to Phoenix, but that's one market that sticks out in my mind, especially kind of as you see people building farther and farther away from the core of Phoenix. That's one I think people are paying attention to as maybe a place where you could see some oversupply.
All right, James, thank you so much for joining us. For more information on James, you can head to businessinsider.com, search for James Rodriguez on the site, and you'll find more information. We'll also post this interview on our website, dailyflashshow.com.